Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with Amanda Albert, Athletic Director of Chelsea High School. Thank you again for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
So as I always start off with my questions, how long have you been the Athletic Director here at Chelsea High School?
I'm starting to finish up my 6th year here at the Athletic.
So 6 years, that's 26, 17? Is that?
16, 17 was my first year as the Athletic.
Okay. Who was the Athletic Director before you? I'm just
Frank DePato.
And how long was he
A very long time.
was it like retirement or?
Yep, he retired.
How did it come to pass that you would be the next one?
Just like any other position, the job was posted and I applied for it.
Were you the first candidate, or were you part of a long list?
I don't know. It's not something that they tell us how many people applied.
So, as an athletic director at any level, like middle school, high school, college, how the heck do you guys manage so many sports at one given time? Because I imagine it's a very stressful job.
It has its moments of stress, but I'm really fortunate that I'm in a really good league and we take care of each other. We have assigners that are in charge of making sure we have officials. I send the schedule out, making sure that we have buses for all the teams for our away games. I connect with buildings and grounds, making sure that they know when our games are, to make sure the field or the court or whatever are all set and ready to go. And it's just constant communication and keeping a good calendar.
And the communication is the key thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Were you part of like the whole group that was pushing to get a new track field?
Absolutely, yeah. Our track and field was about 17 years old. The life of a turf is about 10 years. So I was pushing really hard for us to get a new track. The track had been crumbling, there were holes in it, and then the field was really worn down to the fact that you shouldn't be able to see the rublets when you look down, but there were a lot of rublets, a lot of patches, little black things.
The
rubber.
Okay.
Yeah, the rubber in the ground. Yeah, it was long overdue.
Do you guys prefer the turf instead of the grass?
Yes, it's easier. It's easier to maintain. So we don't have to draw the lines in. We don't have to do any of that stuff. It's all built into the field, and we don't have to worry about it, which is amazing.
Since the track's been completed, have you looked to maybe upgrade other facilities or fields in the school?
Yeah, absolutely. We're hoping to upgrade the stadium itself, so the bleachers, hoping to put in some more bathrooms and locker rooms, and then in a couple of years hoping to redo Carter Park right here behind us, the baseball and softball fields.
You planning to maybe expand them, or just like
we can't expand them just because they are what they are and we're limited to what's around us, so just working within the constraints, but redoing them so that they're a better playing field.
Did you go to Chelsea High School?
I did not. I graduated from Saugus High School, but my father went to Chelsea High, and 3 out of 4 of my grandparents graduated from Chelsea High.
Out of curiosity, which year did he graduate?
He graduated in, I believe, 66.
So he's, I think, 5 years older than my father, because my father graduated from Somerville High in '72.
Okay.
I was just wondering. All right. So was that one of the reasons kind of why you wanted to take this job, is because of the heritage?
Not necessarily the job, but I've been working in Chelsea since 2005, and it's just been a I've been a track coach since 2006. When I started working in the building as a school counselor in 2009, I also became a football coach here. So just kind of the progression of, I was a counselor for 7 years and coaching for, 12, 13 years. So knowing that the position was opening, I was really excited to get the chance to try to be the next athletic director.
Nice. Actually, going into like the football is like, so was that for the main team?
Yep.
And what kind of coach were you? A wide receivers coach, running backs coach, deep backs?
Line coach.
Line coach.
Yep.
Just is it O-line?
My specialty is O-line, but I was coaching JV, O-line, and D-line.
And how are you still doing that, or?
No, it's for me. It's too hard to coach one sport and also be the athletic director. I don't have an assistant. I don't have a secretary. It's just myself and the athletic trainer. So that would be a really big burden to put on the athletic trainer to kind of take care of everything if I took all my energy and put it into one sport.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's wow. Hey, not even a secretary? Damn. I'm just on. As you can see, I'm a little surprised by that.
Yeah, no worries.
This is actually more curiosity question. What do you think of the idea of someday maybe having a girls' football team?
I would love it.
Because
I think there's, at least in colleges, they're starting to have varsity flag football teams, and after college, there's the opportunity for advanced flag football, but there's also women's tackle football. So if we had the interest, I would love to have it. Obviously, the girls are welcome on the football team. We don't call it the boys football team. It's just the football team because anybody can play. But I think it's going to take a lot to be able to have a girls football team, because you would need interest in multiple cities to make that happen. I know that there's pockets of big girls tackle football. I know that Utah has a huge girls tackle football league, which is amazing, and I'm hoping that funnels up to the high school and Utah will have tackle girls. I think that would be amazing, and if they can see success with that, hopefully it will reach out to other states and make it more viable.
I agree, because I agree. Like at my school, there was the girls can join, but they said nobody ever would. I remember one time I had a conversation with one of my friends, and I said, "Why don't you want to join?" Oh, it's because of my mother. I said, "Well, talk to your mother. Like, yeah, I know you can play football," and she was bulky and everything. She could kick anyone's ass, but instead she just couldn't want. She just didn't want to do it because of her parents and everything, and that's understandable. Do you think it's the reason girls maybe don't join is that there's maybe the stigma that there's just that they would be the only one?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. I think it's, one, it's hard being the only one. We have had girls on the football team before. And, it's difficult knowing that you're the only one. I know that the girls feel like the boys see them differently. The way I see them, they are all football players. When you're on the field and you have your helmet on, I don't care if you're a boy or a girl or anywhere in between. You're there to play football, and that's all that matters. I don't think the girls are worried about getting hurt. I think the boys are worried about hurting the girls. It's tough to try to change that mindset of like, nope, they're here, they want to be here. Treat them as if you would treat anybody else that's out here on the field.
How many sports in total do you oversee? Because I know some schools have different. Some schools may have this sport, and some schools may not may have this sport and not have this sport.
So in the fall at the high school, we have football, girls volleyball, boys and girls cross country, boys and girls soccer, cheer. At the middle school in the fall, we have baseball, softball, and boys and girls cross country. In the winter, we have basketball, boys and girls at the high school and the middle school. We have indoor track, and we have cheer. And then in the spring, we have at the high school baseball, softball, outdoor track, and we just added boys volleyball. And then in the middle school, we have track and flag.
So, oh yeah, because I saw that the other day. So you'll have both a high school and a middle school flag football team?
Nope, just high school, just middle school flag, high school tackle.
Okay. So no swimming team?
We don't have swimming team.
Is there any push to maybe at some point get that one after maybe changes are made to facilities?
We're never going to have a pool on campus.
Oh, alright. I'm curious about that one too.
Oh, in the winter we just started a co-op for wrestling as well. So
I was wondering about that.
In the winter we go to Malden for a co-op, which also includes Everett and Revere.
I've asked some of the coaches this recently to, out of like the school surrounding towns or maybe beyond that, which is the biggest rival in Chelsea sports to you?
So, a couple of years ago I would have said Northeast, but we moved out of the CAC, so we're not playing them as much. I think just moving into the GBL, we haven't quite gotten back to our Everett rivalry yet. That's the natural rivalry that used to be our Thanksgiving Day game. Someday I hope it's our Thanksgiving Day game again. We play a lot of Boston schools, so I'm hoping that maybe like East Boston could become our rival. But since we kind of lost the Everett rivalry years ago when we moved to the CAC, it's kind of hard to say who our actual rivals.
And so, which league are you now?
We're in the GBL, the Greater Boston League. So it's Everett, Revere, Malden, Medford, Somerville, Lynn English, and Glasgow.
Do you try to make it to every sporting event at the that involves the high school?
I try to make it to every home game, whether it's high school or middle school. I like to be there, even if I can't be there the whole time. I like to be there for a little bit just to show my support, so that the students know that I'm not just someone behind a desk making sure that the schedules are set, but that I support them on the field, on the court, on the track, wherever they are. And a team like the flag football team, they only have away games. So I make sure that I get to a couple of those games too, because there's only so many games, and I want them to know, even in the middle school, that I'm supporting them, and I'm excited for them to be part of the Red Devil family.
And getting back to the middle school, do you also oversee their sports too? Because I know you've mentioned that. So you do both the high school and middle school?
Yes, that's correct.
What happened to their athletic director? Oh, they don't?
Nope. It's middle school sports is something that I only started a couple years ago.
The whole program?
Yeah.
Oh wow. You're a genius.
Oh, thank you.
Because back in Stone, middle school and high school had two separate athletic directors. Because the hockey, basketball, football, Jesus, you got it. How the hell do you do it? You have to be a genius.
Keeping a good calendar and constant communication.
I'd go insane if I had to do that much. I honestly would. I would go insane. Actually, that sets up my next question. Because I spoke with Alex the other day, and so you helped her with setting up the track team.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex was one of the first middle school coaches that we hired. Cross country was the first team that we added because it's a really low load. You don't need any equipment. They can use the high school uniforms. We already have a built-in facility over at Admiral's Hill. I just had to get a bus for them to go to away meets. So Alex was one of the first coaches I had, and then made sure that even during COVID, we were short a coach in outdoors, and I said, "Hey Alex, I'd love to keep you on, even as a high school coach, because we didn't have middle school at the time." So Alex is great, and I'm super lucky to have her here.
You remind me which sports again in the middle school you got helped?
Sure. In the fall, we have baseball, softball, and cross country. In the winter, we have basketball, and they are allowed to do high school winter track. They want to join the high school team.
Okay.
And then in the spring, they can play, either play flag football or run outdoor track.
My next part is like, so just to make sure I do understand this right, is that before, like just a couple of years ago, Chelsea Middle School didn't offer any sports.
Correct. There was intramurals, so the three middle schools played each other.
Okay.
But this is kind of more like a feeder program to the high school. We treat the middle school students and student athletes as they were high school student athletes. So we hold them to the same expectations. You know, they have to practice, they have to travel. If you're going to wear our uniform, you get to wear it right.
I'm just curious, is that, so like, was that, like, how big of a win was it to be able to get them from intramurals to more like standard?
So we're not getting rid of intramurals. We still have intramurals. I think intramurals is still a vital part. You know, because only so many people can play on the travel team. So intramurals are still great, especially for kids who don't want to be super competitive. They just enjoy playing and have fun. But if they're really into a sport and want to be more serious about it, that's kind of where the middle school sports come up, and we want to get them the skills and the knowledge that they need in middle school, so when they get to high school, they're prepared for high school sports.
All right. Three more questions and everything. But again, this is the time. This is the moment of the floor where I usually ask the person I'm interviewing if there's any questions I have not highlighted to this point that you'd like to highlight.
No, I think you asked some really great questions. I'm excited for you to highlight, you know, all of Chelsea's sports.
I know. I love the partnership that we have built so far, and I hope to continue it to the best of my ability.
Yes.
So with remaining three questions, I gotta be very thoughtful in these ones. And since you've been athletic director, have you guys won any championships in any of the sports since you've become it?
We did win some league championships when we were in the CAC. Girls soccer, boys and girls cross country. I don't remember if girls volleyball won when I was thinking. Girls basketball, boys basketball, indoor track, outdoor track, and softball. So just about everybody has won. Almost everybody has won the conference championship when we were in the CAC while I was here. And that had nothing to do with me.
I know, I was just curious, because usually when you have a good AD, it tends to trickle down to, it's like a trickle-down effect. Because good leadership breeds good winners, in my opinion. How long do you think you'll go as athletic director? Because as before in the earlier this interview, that you mentioned that the prior athletic director was here for a very long time.
I'd like to retire here. I mean, I love Chelsea. I love being a part of Chelsea. I love sports. It's the perfect combination for me. So I hope that I am here through into retirement.
They better give you a goddamn big retirement pay. I mean, it's not easy getting a new field. I know that. So I've asked. So all right. This is my last question. I gotta make sure I shoot this right. The Russian roulette right here.
All right.
What about a maybe a rugby team?
So with adding any new sports, space is always the issue. We're really limited on what we have for space. I would love to add every single team possible. I'd love to have rugby. I'd love to have lacrosse. I'd love tennis and golf are different because they don't take up the space here, but only having one field, and the city has one other turf field that they're currently working on. But that's also a city field. It's not the school, so I don't have priority on it. It's really hard to add any teams just because we don't have the space for it and we don't have the time to use it. So if we were to add any outdoor sport, whether it's lacrosse or rugby, I think finding the time for them to practice, not even the games, but just finding the time for them to practice would be the hardest part, you know. No one wants to have a 6 a.m. practice, and no one wants to have an 8 p.m. practice. So our field, especially in the fall, we already have 2 soccer teams and a football team that uses the field. And in the spring, we now have flag football that practices out there and track. So it's really hard to balance who gets the field, and then it would be difficult to figure out where and when to have another team.
Okay. Well, thank you, Amanda, again for doing this. This has been a very great interview, and I hope to work with you further in the future.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it.
Hope you ladies and gentlemen enjoyed. See you next time.